All right, ready to dive in. We're tackling Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki today.
Oh man, this book, it's like a financial lightning rod, right? Everyone's got a story, an opinion.
Seriously, it sparked so many debates, which is exactly why we're unpacking it.
Mhm.
What's the deal with this book? What still holds up today?
Totally, because it's not just your typical financial advice,
Yeah.
Kiyosaki, he throws in these stories like we're right there with him.
Yeah, the whole two dads thing, it's brilliant.
Right. His own dad, the poor dad, worked hard, believed in education, all that. But his friend's dad, the rich dad, totally different money mindset.
And little Robert's caught in the middle, like, which way do I go?
Exactly. It's like he's got these two competing financial philosophies playing out in real time, and you see it from the very beginning.
Wait, wasn't he like 9 years old, already hustling, trying to make money? Yeah.
Yeah, 9 years old. And that's when his rich dad starts dropping these knowledge bombs, these lessons. They're like the foundation for everything else in the book.
It's amazing how those early experiences shape your whole view of money.
Totally. And one of the biggest takeaways, I think, is this idea of mind your own business.
Oh man, I remember reading that and thinking, easy for you to say, I'm not exactly a CEO.
Right. But it's so much deeper than just go start a company.
Mm.
Kiyosaki's challenging us to think differently.
About what we're actually doing to build wealth, right?
Exactly. He uses this great example, Ray Kroc, the McDonald's guy.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Everyone thought McDonald's was all about burgers and fries.
Right. But when someone asked Kroc what business he was in, you know what he said? Real estate.
Whoa, seriously. He was playing a whole other game.
He knew the real money wasn't just in the food, it was in owning those prime locations, the land, the buildings, the assets that gain value over time.
That's wild. It's like seeing past the obvious.
Yeah.
So how do we, like regular people, figure out what our real business is?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's about looking beyond your job title, your 9 to 5. Are you building something that'll pay you back down the line? Or are you just trading time for money with nothing left over?
It's a bit of a wake-up call, honestly. And it leads us to, like, the core of Kiyosaki's message.
Hmm.
Assets versus liabilities.
Yes, this is huge for him. Assets put money in your pocket, liabilities take it right back out. Simple, but man.
And that's where things get interesting, right? Because Kiyosaki, he doesn't hold back. He's like, your house, not
Yeah.
always an asset.
Right. I can already hear people disagreeing, but hold on. He's not saying don't buy a house. It's more nuanced than that.
It's about understanding the difference between something that costs you money every month and something that makes you money.
Exactly. Your house, it's a roof over your head, sure. But if you're drowning in mortgage payments, property taxes, repairs, is it truly putting money in your pocket?
So it's all about the cash flow then.
Cash flow is king. Kiyosaki even has these diagrams in the book, remember? He shows how the rich, the middle class, the poor, they handle money so differently.
Yeah, those visuals were helpful, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a visual learner, so that stuck with me.
The rich, they're focused on building up those assets so the money flows in, even when they're not working. The poor, they're stuck in this cycle of earning and spending, never getting ahead. And the middle class, they're often working harder and harder, buying things they think are assets, but...
But they might secretly be liabilities in disguise. Ouch. All right, lots to unpack there. Okay, so we've established that my house might be a financial frenemy. But Kiyosaki, he doesn't just leave us hanging, right? He gives us a game plan.
He does, and it all starts with building a strong financial foundation. He even compares it to, like, a skyscraper.
Okay, I'm listening.
You need that deep, solid base, right? Not some flimsy foundation. And for Kiyosaki, that means 4 things: accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law.
So more than just balancing my checkbook then.
Way more. We're talking next-level financial literacy. You got to understand those financial statements, know a good opportunity when you see it, even navigate the legal stuff.
Gotcha, like building your wealth-building toolkit.
Exactly. And the goal, that sweet, sweet passive income, enough to cover your expenses without needing that 9 to 5. That's freedom right there.
Yeah, that's the dream. Being able to, like, chill for a bit without stressing about work. But how do we get there?
Well, Kiyosaki actually walks you through his own journey to financial independence. And it wasn't overnight, He worked his day job for years while building up his assets on the side.
See, that's what I like about him. He's not just some guru preaching from a yacht. He's been there.
Totally.
Yeah.
He talks about real estate, dabbling in the stock market, making mistakes, learning as he goes.
Speaking of mistakes, he talks a lot about fear, doesn't he? especially when it comes to money.
Oh, yeah. Fear is a big one. We all feel it, right? It's natural to be afraid of losing money.
Absolutely.
But Kiyosaki says the real winners, they figure out how to handle that fear. He wants us to be brave, take calculated risks.
He even says sometimes you need to be focused, not balanced. I remember thinking, wait, what?
Right. It goes against everything we're taught about money. But then you think about it. Sometimes playing it safe, spreading yourself thin, it doesn't get you where you want to be.
You got to go all in, but not blindly, obviously.
Exactly. Do your research, know the risks, but don't let fear paralyze you.
There's that action theme again. Okay, so we're taking action, but we're also being smart about it. What else?
Well, Kiyosaki's big on building those rock-solid financial habits. It's not just about making money, it's about keeping it.
He's all about paying yourself first,
Yeah.
right? Before you even think about bills or, those new shoes you've been eyeing.
Exactly. He's not saying deprive yourself, just prioritize your financial well-being. Even if it's a small amount, consistently investing in those assets, that's what builds that foundation over time. He tells this story about his son wanting to buy a car.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Didn't he tell his son to, double his money in the stock market first?
Yeah, can you imagine? Most parents would be like, get a job. But Kiyosaki saw it as a learning opportunity.
And his son actually did it. Well, he lost some money at first, but...
But that's part of the process, right? Kiyosaki used it as a teaching moment. And it just highlights how important it is to start early, even with small amounts, and be ready for those ups and downs.
It's all about taking control, right? You don't have to be a Wall Street whiz to make smart choices.
Exactly. Educate yourself, find good advice, build those habits.
All right. Final stretch of our Rich Dad, Poor Dad deep dive. We've covered a lot, but I'm ready for the actionable stuff. Kiyosaki lays out 10 steps to awaken your financial genius. What's the deal with that?
Okay, so these steps, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? But it's not all spreadsheets and stock tips. It's deeper than that.
Oh. How so?
Kiyosaki ties it back to personal growth, your mindset, basically taking charge of your life. And yeah, finances are a big part of that.
So it's like a personal development pep talk, but with a financial twist.
Exactly. He's big on this idea of finding your why, a reason bigger than just, I want to be rich.
Okay, I can get behind that. Having a strong why can make all the difference, right? Makes sense.
Right. He uses this example of a young woman who dreamed of Olympic swimming. It was that fire, that drive that got her through those grueling training sessions.
Okay, I'm seeing the connection here.
Yeah.
So how does that translate to, actual financial action?
Well, for Kiyosaki, it was about retiring early, achieving financial freedom for his family. That was his driving force.
So it's about identifying what you really want. What do you want your life to look like?
Exactly. And once you've got that fuel, Kiyosaki's all about feeding your mind. He's a huge advocate for constant learning.
But he also warns against blindly following just any guru with a book deal, right?
Oh, absolutely. He says, look for people who are out there actually doing it, not just talking about it. People who've walked the walk.
So find your financial role models, basically. The Warren Buffett to whoever you are. But learning's only half the battle, isn't it? At some point, you got to take action.
You got it. Kiyosaki's all about taking action. He even says, stop doing what you're doing if it's not working.
Love that. I like that saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right. Experiment, try new things, even if they don't work out. It's all about putting yourself out there.
Okay, so we've got our why. We're constantly learning. We're taking action. What else is on Kiyosaki's financial genius checklist?
Mastering your emotions, especially when it comes to money. We talked about fear, but he also talks about greed and how it can lead to bad decisions.
Oh, tell me about it. It's so easy to get caught up in the moment and make a decision you regret later.
Right. So Kiyosaki stresses having a plan, sticking to your budget, and seeking advice from those trusted advisors.
Ah, those financial mentors again. So it's not just about picking their brains. You might need to invest in their expertise, too.
Exactly. Investing in yourself, surrounding yourself with the right people. He also talks about being generous, giving back, teaching what you've learned. He's a big believer in that.
It's like paying it forward, but with a financial twist.
Exactly. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
I agree. We covered a lot of ground, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's one of those books you can keep revisiting. There's always something new to discover.
Totally. And that's what we're all about here, right? Getting you thinking, sparking those aha moments.
Because ultimately, it's about taking control of your financial journey.
Absolutely.
So whether you're already a seasoned investor or just starting out, remember, it's never too late to start learning, growing, and building that financial future you want.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for those financial dreams.